Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. In the summer of 1999, 12-year-old Michael Sandford and his family moved into their new home in western Pennsylvania, marking what should have been a fresh start after months of homelessness and the tragic loss of his father. The previous months had been marked by unimaginable hardship, watching his father's death, enduring homelessness, and struggling to rebuild their shattered lives. Their mother had finally secured employment, and slowly, piece by piece, they were reassembling some semblance of normalcy. Instead of providing relief, however, their new home became the beginning of a decades-long chronicle of inexplicable phenomena that would follow Michael into his adult life up until the present day. The first incident occurred on a warm August evening during what should have been a moment of long-awaited joy. Michael and his mother had just returned from McDonald's, their first proper meal out since securing stable housing. The simple pleasure of fast food and the comfort of having a roof over their heads had given Michael his first taste of normalcy since watching his father collapse and pass away earlier that year. As he settled into the living room to watch television, allowing himself to feel that things might finally be improving, the peaceful moment was shattered by the distinct sound of footsteps traversing the attic space above. "What was that?" his mother called from the kitchen, her voice tight with concern. The footsteps were impossible to ignore, heavy and deliberate, yet equally impossible to explain. The attic was little more than a crawl space with exposed beams and insulation, lacking even proper flooring. The wood rungs were spaced apart, making it impossible for anyone to walk normally up there, let alone create such steady, purposeful footsteps. Fearing an intruder, they immediately contacted the police department. The responding officer's investigation revealed what the Sandfords already knew: the attic was empty. The first officer's bewilderment was evident as his partner questioned whether he had checked thoroughly enough. "There are no rooms up there," the officer insisted, gesturing upward with his flashlight. "It's just insulation and wood studs. That's all there is." Even as the second officer confirmed this assessment, the footsteps resumed overhead, leaving both law enforcement veterans visibly unsettled as they departed, advising the Sandfords to call again if anything else occurred. The disturbances escalated quickly. One evening, while Michael and his mother were talking in her bedroom, a thunderous crash emanated from the front of the house. The sound was so violent and unexpected that they both froze for a moment before rushing to investigate. Michael's first thought was that perhaps one of his siblings had returned home to cook something, as they were all out with neighbourhood friends. However, what they discovered in the kitchen defied logical explanation. Every single pot and pan they owned lay scattered across the floor, as if thrown by an invisible hand. One heavy stockpot had been launched with such force it had skidded clear across the room, coming to rest against the far wall. With all his siblings accounted for elsewhere, there was no rational explanation for the chaos before them. That same night, at around 9 p.m, a rhythmic banging began outside the house, a sound like someone deliberately drumming against the siding. Michael's initial investigations revealed nothing in the darkness beyond their home, but when the sound intensified after he returned inside, his adolescent anger at what he assumed was a prank drove him out again. The empty yard offered no explanation for the phantom percussion, which never recurred after that night, yet the memory of those premeditated knocks remained with him. Months passed, and while the major disturbances subsided, The house never felt truly empty. One afternoon, while home alone, Michael heard the bathroom faucet activate. The sound of running water sent chills down his spine, raising every hair on his body. After mustering the courage to shut off the mysterious flow, he fled the house, waiting anxiously on the front steps until his family returned. When they finally arrived, he confronted his mother about the strange occurrences, leading her to share stories of earlier paranormal encounters that she had previously kept to herself. She described a particularly disturbing incident from their previous home. One day she had been walking past the bathroom when she saw who she thought was Michael's brother inside. She casually said, "Morning," and continued to the living room, only to find her entire family, including Michael's brother, seated together with their father. Confused, she asked her son how he had gotten there so quickly. When he replied that he had been in the living room the whole time, she immediately returned to the bathroom, only to find it empty. Years later, she maintained with absolute certainty that she had seen someone or something in that bathroom. She also revealed her recurring prophetic dream. A mysterious figure approaching their house, reaching for the doorknob. The dream invariably ended at the moment of contact, but its occurrence reliably foreshadowed paranormal activity in their home. This pattern had become so consistent that she had learned to brace herself for unusual events whenever the dream occurred. As Michael entered his teenage years, the manifestations continued in subtler forms. Unexplained noises and fleeting shadows that seemed to dance at the edge of vision. His brother had taken to sleeping in the living room, too frightened to remain in his own bedroom. The atmosphere of the house had affected each family member differently, but none could deny the persistent sense of an unseen presence. Michael would wake nightly to footsteps in the hallway, soon discovering that it was his sleepwalking brother. He developed a routine of guiding his sibling back to the couch, dutifully performing this task night after night for nearly a month. Then came the evening that changed everything, when he emerged from his room to find the hallway empty and the dead-bolted front door standing wide open. Panic gripped him as he grabbed his baseball bat and woke his mother, whose room was directly across the hall. Together they searched every room, checked outside, but found nothing disturbed or missing, only the inexplicable mystery of how a securely locked door had opened by itself. During a period of teenage depression following a romantic breakup, Michael experienced one of his most traumatic encounters. Lying in bed, overwhelmed by negative emotions and thoughts of self-harm, he sought solace in music while wrestling with his pain. As his emotional turmoil peaked, anger suddenly surged through him and he sat up abruptly. At that precise moment, his bedroom light bulb exploded, the sharp pop and shower of glass driving him from the house. Later, he discovered his brother shared his habit of waiting outside when home alone, admitting that the house feels weird when you're by yourself. Perhaps the most unsettling incident occurred when Michael heard voices while investigating what he thought was his brother's sleepwalking. Through the crack under his bedroom door, he noticed a strange glow, similar to television light reflecting off the walls. Fear paralysed him as he heard multiple distinct voices speaking, none of them belonging to his family members. The light beneath his door grew stronger, compelling him to gather every ounce of courage he possessed. When he finally threw open the door, the strange illumination lingered for a moment before everything plunged into darkness. A thorough check of the house revealed all doors and windows securely locked. In 2012, At age 25, Michael's family relocated to a ranch-style house across town, hoping for a fresh start. The very first night before they had fully moved in, his brother stayed alone in the house and reported hearing the same familiar footsteps in the attic. The entity Michael had come to call the Attic Man had followed them, its heavy footfalls as deliberate and distinctive as ever. Years later, in his early 30s, financial hardship forced Michael to move back in with his unemployed mother. The footsteps returned, accompanied by new manifestations. One night, a voice outside his open window asked clearly, "Well, are you going to let me in or not?" Another entity also emerged, a rapidly moving figure in white that Michael glimpsed only in his peripheral vision, nicknaming it the Lady in White. She appeared exclusively when he was alone, particularly during times of anxiety, moving so quickly that by the time he noticed her, she had already vanished from view, leaving only the impression of her ghostly white glow. His final encounter with the spectral woman occurred at around 3 a.m. as he carried dishes from his bedroom to the kitchen. As the hallway opened into the front room and kitchen area, there, illuminated in the darkness, sat a figure dressed in white, occupying his usual spot on the couch. The crash of dropping plates and his strangled cry, neither quite a scream nor a shout, but something in between, woke his brother, who had fallen asleep nearby. Now, in 2024, 37-year-old Michael Sandford resides in a new house deliberately chosen for its lack of attic space. Yet the phenomena persist, suggesting that the haunting was never tied to any particular location, but to Michael himself. Movement flickers past his windows, cabinet doors operate independently, and the bathroom light switches on and off without human intervention, visible through the gap beneath the door. Despite his attempts to document the activity with night vision cameras and digital recorders, the entities remain elusive. Michael suspects his ongoing struggles with depression may attract or amplify the paranormal activity that has now marked 25 years of his life. The footsteps above, the mysterious figures, and the inexplicable events continue to defy explanation, forming a pattern of supernatural experiences that began in childhood and show no signs of release. While he has omitted countless smaller incidents from his account, the weight of these experiences has left a defining mark on his life, suggesting that whatever force attached itself to him during those difficult early years has no intention of letting go.